You're handing your pocket too. Perfect.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Black Hat 2018. Chuck Harold, SecurityGuideTV.com, ASIS TV. My next guest, Mike McKee, Observe It.
Well done.
OBSCRVIT.com. Is it ObserveIT.com? Is that the play?
That's a good point, Chuck. It's always a bit of a debate on that.
Okay.
Way back when we were an IT forensics company, it was Observe IT. We could say Observe IT is insider threat now, but we just say Observe It because there's a lot of different things that can be observed with our software.
Excellent. What do you guys do?
We are an insider threat management solution focused on detecting insider threats, speeding up investigations, and ultimately preventing data exfiltration.
Now, I like the management part because I never hear people describe it that way. A lot of people say, we find threats, we identify them, we push them out to you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of data to look at and do something with. But so the management part, tell us about that.
Yeah, no, it's so important, Chuck. So often, when I first went into cybersecurity, I remember talking to a few CISOs, and they said, listen, you have to look at the world from our perspective. There are thousands and thousands of providers, solutions, platforms, threat hunting, all that kind of stuff. But you have to put yourself in the day in the life of a CISO. So we try to be very careful with the threats that we detect, make sure they're not too noisy, and make sure that it's easy to manage those threats. And one of our biggest points of value is quickly being able to figure out whether the threat's serious or not. So we call it streamlining investigations, but more often than not, as long as it's all around mean time to detect and mean time to respond. So we're trying to help security teams figure out whether it's something they should be worried about quickly or not, and then respond accordingly. Now,
let's define that, because something can be a threat, but not necessarily dangerous. In other words, it's a threat, but it's not in your network. It's not harming you. We got to watch it. How do you break those things out into something that's actionable, I guess? Best way to describe it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chuck. So I would say that 90% of the threats that come up with our insider threat library aren't that serious.
Okay. And that's where the noise comes from that you have to manage.
Right. But the key thing is being able to figure that out in minutes, not days.
That's right.
Because if you have to go through 100 alerts a week and it's 2 or 3 hours an alert, then you obviously need a large team. Our threats, what customers are able to do is we provide the full context around what someone's doing before and after the alert.
The behavior of the...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. So there's lots of different alerts out there. It's quickly understanding what that context is. So what was Chuck doing before that alert went off? What was he doing after that alert? And then very quickly you can assess whether it's something serious or not.
Now define real time for your platform.
I mean, real time is real time.
Real time used to be 5 days, way back, or real time used to be hours.
No, real time is we can watch you clicking on the keyboard.
Oh, that's great. All right.
Most of our customers run in metadata only.
Okay.
And once someone's tripped a couple of alerts, once they're in that 10% that they're concerned about, they'll turn on the session recording. And when the session recording's on, you're watching what that person's doing in real time.
Right. Now, back in the day when we worked at Disney, piracy was a big thing, right? And people would steal our movies and put them on the web. And so what we did is we just put 1 million fake copies of Pirates of the Caribbean up there, and you couldn't find the real fake copy. Does that make sense? You couldn't find the real pirate copy.
Yeah.
How do we guard against that now with these bad players? Are they sending out fake attacks and you go, oh, wait a minute, I got to run over here and deal with this, and they're sneaking in the back door with some simple phishing attack?
Yeah, I mean, I think, once again, you're speaking to a lot of the history of cybersecurity, which was focused on the external threat and putting seeds out there for the external player to get in. Our belief is that there's a lot of inside threats with more and more people being contractors, with millennials coming and going in companies.
Okay.
It's people on the inside that
I agree with you. By the way,
they've got access to the crown jewels every single day. They walk in with a badge every single day.
Yeah.
And most of them are good people.
80% of all laptops are internal theft.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So most of the time they're good people. But what you want is that early warning sign when they're starting to do something out of the norm, when they're starting to go areas where they shouldn't, when they're starting to access IP, Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever it might be. But that is ultimately the crown jewels of companies. And it's the people on the inside, once again, including contractors, that have access to that. So, you can't really have 1,000 copies of Pirates of the Caribbean on the inside. There's one, and the insiders know where that one is. And they know where the formula is for the next compound drug. They know where the proprietary trading formulas are or algorithms are for hedge funds and for big financial services institutions. They know where the customer lists are across all different industries. So making sure you understand that the right people are going to that intellectual property and they're not doing anything wrong is very, very important.
Now, what I don't get is how a guy like Snowden goes to the private sector. He keeps his government credential and gets hired back as a contractor because he has the government clearance, and they don't pull it. And, of course, that's the ultimate insider threat because he was approved to be in there, right?
Right.
What are we finding in the C? How are the C-suites reacting to contractors that are working inside your business are you able to flag him and say that's Chuck Harold? He's a contract employee. Maybe we'll watch him a little differently. Maybe we'll give him different permissions. Are they staying away from their own employees and saying no, we're not worried about our own employees. We're worried about insider contractors?
No, it's both. I mean, contractors are a good first area that you want to get visibility on because you don't know those people and they're coming and going.
Yeah.
Now, the challenge is often you try to segregate them to a certain area, allow them access to certain applications, and more often than not, they're able to move around more than you think or more than the permissions
That's
that
why
they
I
have.
hired them, because they're smart.
Exactly. Yeah, you hired them because they're very smart. So once again, it's, you just want visibility. And you want those early warning signs. And whether it's Edward Snowden or Anthony Lewandowski, the engineer who went from Google to Uber, I mean, those things didn't, insider threats aren't big bang. They don't just happen in one shot.
Right.
They sort of, there's some early signs that the people are starting to go to information that they shouldn't. There's usually some early leakage of that data, and you want to catch it early in the process, not late.
Would transparency help? I mean, I've said this to people and they think I'm crazy, but what if...
You're not crazy, Chuck. Don't worry.
Well, that might be debatable. What if everybody's social security number was on the web? There'd be it wouldn't be worth anything. You see what I'm saying? So can we look at this stuff as more transparency? I know we can't put secrets out there per se, but it's our concept of trying to get across. You know what I'm saying? If we're too secret sometimes, we miss things.
Yeah, so the way I think about that is that, transparent communication is one of our corporate goals. I think that's big in the 21st century. So I think internally, companies are being more transparent with information.
Interdepartmentally, I guess.
Interdepartmentally,
letting silos in
absolutely letting more people. I mean, I talk about our financials. I talk about our burn rate. I talk about how much money we've raised. I talk about our customers. I talk about our product roadmap. Like everybody observe it knows exactly what's going on, and it's because of that transparent culture that I think insiders are a risk, and that you want to get those early warning signs when they're doing something they shouldn't.
Oh, you think that makes them more of a risk?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, everyone nowadays like flat structures, non-hierarchy. Like I said, transparent communication, being open. It's not the.
But you could see that guy if everything was more transparent around you. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, but once again, like IT and security teams don't want to get in the way of business. They don't want to slow people down.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I think a little bit what you're speaking to, and we believe as well, is moving from a prevent strategy to a detect and respond. So historically, there was data loss prevention solutions. They try to lock down all the files that aren't supposed to move. Well, it's pretty hard to keep track of all those files.
Billions of them, right?
There's more files coming every day. They're moving around to different people. So instead of trying to prevent and lock everything down, we say open it up, be more transparent, but have the visibility and the ability to detect and respond quickly when something goes wrong or when someone's doing something abnormal.
Mike McKee, observeit.com, observeit.com. Thanks for coming on SecurityGuy TV.com.
True for two, Chuck. Thank you very much.
It's
Thanks
fantastic conversation. Good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
Back in a minute.
Okay.